12th man, 12th lady, Seahawks Nation. This is your show, 12 for 12s, hosted by your impressionable Paul Beyer. I am very happy to be here to kick off the 2014 NFL season. Yep, that's right. We've started. The Super Bowl's in the books. We're moving on. And I got to tell you, it was a little scary today. I was frightened planning this show because I did feel like I was closing the book on 2013 and our historic run. But we have to. We have to move on. And that's what it's like to be a fan of a championship squad, one that expects and desires to repeat. I'm excited about 2014 already. Oh, there's a lot to talk about. I've got some wonderful guests on tonight's show. Besides our 12 topics, Kenneth Arthur from Field Gulls is going to be joining us to talk a little bit about his article, the off-season plan that he put together. It was a really nice piece. I'm excited to talk to him close to 7:50 here Pacific time. After that, about 8:15, William Cornell from Rain City Redemption will be calling in. He has a new website up. I'm excited to talk to him about that, where you can get his great T-shirts that he's been putting together all year. That's at raincityredemption.com. And also talk to him about his 4th episode that he put out a few weeks ago before the Super Bowl, that if you haven't seen, do it. All right. Well, tonight we are off and running. Just real quick, a side note, I wanted to mention that in this off-season planning here, as we ramp up for 2014, I'll be playing different types of music on the show. I know that Tim and Barry and the Ungaro brothers on our other OOT programs don't necessarily always play, some of the outside-the-box things. I'm a heavy metal guy. I'm a hair metal guy from the 80s, so I'm going to be playing a little bit of tunage from the Iron Maidens of the world, and I'll try to mix it up a little bit too and throw in some Motley Crue and whatnot. So if you have any recommendations, shoot me an email at 12for12s@gmail.com or at pbizzle on Twitter. And I love talking to everybody, and it's been a real fun last year. Looking forward to starting up a new one. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm expecting Kenneth Arthur to be calling in here shortly. He is the next segment. And what I'll do for now is I'll take a quick little break, play a little bit of music, maybe get a drink of water. But the point is, you guys are still listening to Paul Beyer here on the 12 for 12 show. We are in the off season, folks, so we're talking a lot about what ifs. We're talking about drafts. We're talking about free agency. We're talking about contracts. At the end of the day, we don't know anything. We're just guessing. The Schneid and Pete Carroll and the rest of the personnel team, they're the ones that are going to be making the decision. And at the end of the day, I trust them. So, but this is all good fun, good things to talk about, and we're excited to see where it ends up taking us. But, hey, we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys back on the flip side. Again, 12 for 12 here with Paul Beyer. And we'll be back shortly with Kenneth Arthur from fieldgulls.com. are back. This is the 12 for 12 show. I'm your host, Paul Byer. Thanks again for joining us. We are now joined by our first special guest of the evening, Kenneth Arthur from fieldgulls.com. And Kenneth, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. We're in that trepid time of the season where obviously coming off winning a Super Bowl, now we're trying to figure out what to do with our lives every day, it seems like, without football. Thankfully, there's people like yourself who write awesome pieces that help educate us about what we can do and what we can look for in the team, the Seattle Seahawks. So why don't we start with just you taking a quick moment to share with everybody a little bit about what you do with Field Gulls and some of the other interests that you pursue with the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. I'm just a writer on Field Gulls, which is managed and edited by Danny Kelly, who's really the best Seahawks blogger that there is, one of the best up-and-coming football bloggers. So it's really nice to be a part of that and to be a part of writing about the Seahawks at this time. I think there was a lot of opportunity for humor in the first, 30 years of the Seahawks, but now it's actually, there's actually things it's a whole new feeling now being a winner and to reach the pinnacle. So at Field Gulls, we have to keep up with the times, change the attitude and sort of go along with what's happening. And so every day it's sort of, you're just trying to take it as, trying to keep it as business as usual, but there's definitely a difference when you're talking about writing about a team that's defending its championship after having spent my entire life not knowing what that's like.
I ditto on that. But hey, we still can be funny, right? I mean, let's don't jump off the cliff here on not having some humor,
Well, yeah, they were mostly unintentional humor up until now.
The drunkard piece on Field Gulls is one of my favorites. It's a routine laugh for me every week. I look forward to hopefully getting him back soon, even though it's the off season. Now, talking about let's just talk about the Super Bowl for just 1 second before we get on to your great piece you wrote here just the other day on Field Gulls. But just your general thoughts coming off that Super Bowl victory. How it uplifted your soul, whatever it might have been, but, what are your just general feelings coming off that win?
I think that I've always sort of tried to go with my gut, and so I'd say that since about December of 2012, my gut said that Pete Carroll was going to win a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and I think that I felt probably in December of 2013, a year later, I was pretty confident we were going to win the Super Bowl this time around, and I believe that they'll win two. I was believing 2 of the next 4 years. So something along those lines where now we got one, and I think that there's multiple on the horizon. Sometime in the next 3 years, probably within the next 2, I think the Seahawks are going to win another, maybe a repeat. Maybe they take a year off from winning the Super Bowl. But it was just sort of, I guess, despite the fact that I had no right to be confident in the team, I know a lot of people, when I was saying on my articles, oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl, people would say, oh, you can't say that around Seattle. We've had the Sonics of the 90s and the Mariners and even the times of the Seahawks 2005, there's a curse, blah, blah, blah. And it was just a matter of, the more I dive into becoming a writer for Field Gulls, the more I sort of just want to trust the numbers. When they line up with your gut, it's really good feeling. So I knew that they were the best team in the NFL, and when the game against the Broncos came up, I had felt like a 17-point victory was well within reach, and really they treated the Broncos. I'd say it was their most convincing win since, last December when they were beating up everybody like the Cardinals and the Bills and really making the whole rest of the league look like, that they weren't up to the Seahawks. It was just it was like watching, Alabama play some school that nobody else has ever heard of up until the day that they play Alabama. So it was really interesting to see them play the Broncos and not just win, but show that there was no doubt about who was the best team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Make them look pedestrian, quote unquote, right? I agree with you on, first of all, your initial. I called a 17-point victory as well, believe it or not. I had a 34-17, and everyone called me crazy. I was on a radio station in Boston, a radio station in Buffalo, New York, of all places, and they both immediately, as the game was ending, were tweeting out how I'm some kind of Nostradamus, nailing the game, calling a pick six, calling a kickoff return. I'm like, I happen to watch them a lot. But anyways, let's move on to your article, which I really enjoyed reading on FieldGulls.com. It's the Seahawks 2014 offseason plan. You bet. And the first thing I wanted to ask you about in relation to the article, because it goes through obviously the releases, who you expect to release, who you expect to re-sign, who do you expect to walk away. Let's talk about first the most vital players, the players you expect or let me put it this way, the players you see vital for the Seahawks to re-sign for 2014.
I think that the only player that I see as vital is Michael Bennett, and the reason that I feel strongly about Michael Bennett and not Golden Tate is really just a matter not necessarily of talent level, because I think that Golden Tate is very talented. So I just think it's a matter of resources and how you see those resources moving forward, because the Seahawks went out this season and won the Super Bowl and were the best team in the NFL without Percy Harvin for pretty much the entire year. Next season, I know that it's hard for people to look ahead and think that I know that Percy Harvin is not someone that people have a lot of confidence in his health and everything like that, but you can't operate a football team. You can't operate your life thinking, worrying about what's going to happen. So as of right now, Percy Harvin is a healthy player. So as the way I see it is that the team is upgrading without Golden Tate. They're not necessarily, that they'll be better without him, but the way I see it right now, the 2014 team is set up with Percy Harvin replacing Golden Tate, and Percy Harvin is just a better version of Golden Tate. So, in my opinion, if you're going to allocate $30 or $40 million to someone, it has to be Michael Bennett, because there is literally nobody else on the team that's as good as doing what he does. So, when I saw Bennett and Averill, combine to do what they do, you could say, Averill had, even if he had, I don't know exactly, 2-3 strip sacks, and it's like, that's just what he does. And it might seem like one play or two plays, but, if the Seahawks had lost one extra game this year, I don't think that they would have won the Super Bowl, because if they had lost one extra game, I think they would have, lost the division to the 49ers. And then you're going to San Francisco for the NFC Championship game, or even if you get that far, because then they would have also had to play two extra games on the road. It's just the way I see it. You got to have Bennett for the fact that he not only does he get the most pressure on the defensive line on the team this year, but I have Clemens and Red not coming back, so you got to have you can't lose more players on the defensive line. It's the same reason that I changed my mind about releasing James Carpenter, because as much as I think that he's not worth what he's being paid, we just don't have enough guards to move forward without him.
Right. Now, speaking of Mr. Bennett, and I obviously feel the same way as you do, this last few days with the re-signing of Suggs, Terrell Suggs with the Ravens, one of the things I thought about when he signed was the number he signed for and how it might relate or help with that number that, some people are saying as high as $11 million a year, and I'm like, that's crazy talk that Michael Bennett would receive that based on his age. and also the amount of snaps that he had this year. He got 2/3 the snaps of, Quinn out of off the Rams. In your opinion, do you think the Suggs, the number that's $7.5 million a year, he's got the $21 million, I think it's for 3 years, 16 guaranteed. Do you think that number helps with kind of finding out or isolating what we think Bennett will end up signing for, the number that he'll sign at?
Maybe, but if I'm, Michael Bennett's agent, I try and focus mostly on Michael Bennett, and I would think that you'd be able to convince somebody else, because I would rather just lock him up right now, because when he hits the free agent market, I think his number's only going to go up. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to make him feel. Now I sound like I'm manipulating him, but it's a matter of whether or not you want to make Bennett feel secure and be like, this is a 4-year offer or a 3-year offer on the table right now. And as you saw, because last year he hit the market and he got a 1-year deal for $5 million. Nobody expected that. And so is he going to be nervous about hitting the market again? But and the fact that he doesn't play every snap, and they don't want him to. It's the same thing with Golden Tate going out there, and it's like if Golden Tate had played in place of Eric Decker, Golden Tate would have put up Eric Decker's numbers. So if you're going out there and you're Seattle and you say, okay, you can come here to win a Super Bowl, you're not coming here to put up individual stats. And I really do think that Michael Bennett, I have him at like 4 years and $35 million, I think. But I think that with NFL contracts and, the non-guarantees and all that stuff, probably he'll stick around for 3 years at most. But as far as whether or not Terrell Suggs, I hadn't really viewed it that way. I think Suggs is a pretty unique player and not necessarily more talented than Bennett, just different. I see Bennett as more of a he plays the inside a little bit more. I don't know. I think that you gotta lock up Bennett, and you got to hopefully he's not pressing the issue or forcing our hands, but I think that he wants to get paid, and I think he wants to return. So hopefully those two things come together.
I think one thing that helps too is his wife. He lives on Hawaii. His wife is Hawaiian. They spend a lot of time. That's where they have their home. Seattle's pretty close, so
right.
I hope that plays dividends. I told you I'd only keep you 10 minutes. We're a little over, so I'll just finish up with one more question if you don't mind.
Okay.
You had a list of released players: Sidney Rice, Chris Clemens, Red Bryant, Zach Miller, James Carpenter, Heath Farwell. Of those released players, do you expect us to re-sign or any of those people to come back at reduced contracts?
I would say Sidney Rice is going to come back. There's no reason for him to leave. He's put in 3 years of his life here. He said that he loves it here. He knows that he's not going to get a contract somewhere else that's any better. Seattle knows that they can't necessarily go out and get a player that's of the same caliber on such a low-risk deal, because I don't see Sidney Rice getting any sort of guarantee. It's going to be a 1-year deal. So I definitely think Sidney Rice will be back in camp, and if he can prove himself healthy, I don't really know that I've seen a timetable on him recently, but either way, with ACL injury and with Sidney Rice's health injury, I don't know that I necessarily see him contributing, but maybe sticking around, coming in camp, being in the preseason, maybe getting cut or making the team as a fifth receiver. So Sidney Rice, definitely. Red Bryant, I think he fits here better than he fits anywhere else. It's just a matter of whether or not, if he can get a competitive deal somewhere else like New England, then go for it. But I know that the Patriots have their own salary cap issues, so it's just a matter of maybe if they release Vince Wilfork or something like that. But I would say that Red Bryant wants to be here as well. He's he might be the longest tenured player on the team. So he might want to come back as long as it's a smaller deal. If we can extend Cliff Averill, he's signed next year for $9 million. I mean, it's a pretty big cap number for a guy like that, which, no offense, just in the NFL, $9 million is a lot. So if he wants to go out for another 3 years and, reduce his cap number this season to, like, say, $4 or $5 million, then we can bring back Red Bryant and, and maybe have him at $3.5 million. But, the whole plan was, if you have a good idea of a pass rush and a run defense, then you can have Red Bryant and Chris Clemens and a certain number of guys combined to make the perfect defensive end, out there. But at the same time, you don't want to pay twice as much for the perfect defensive ends, because if you're taking two guys out there to be J.J. Watt or whatever, it's starting to get really expensive. So in this time, especially with our 4 or 5 core players needing to get locked up in the next 2 years between Russell Wilson, Earl Thomas, and possibly Richard Sherman, and I know there's more guys coming up. Off the top of my head, I can't think. I knew there was somebody else. I don't want to lose like Byron Maxwell. If he goes out and he has another huge season, I mean, it really gets confusing when you have such good drafts. It means, and undrafts, it means that you've got this roster, this really, really talented roster, and a lot of the guys are making $500,000, $600,000. Doug Baldwin in his 4th year is going to make $2 million. It's like, if every time, it's just going to lead to this one moment where you're going to start losing players that you really like. But that doesn't have to be, today. I mean, no offense to Red Bryant, Chris Clemens, but, I mean, we're basically cutting out a whole lot of players over 30, and we're going to bring in a whole slew of new players that hopefully can produce at a certain level. And I've got a lot of confidence in John Schneider and Pete Carroll to combine their own opinions to bring in these great players continuously every year.
As do I. And I know you stayed a little longer, and I do appreciate it, Kenneth, Arthur, and your work is fantastic on Field Goals. You and Danny and the rest of the gang there do a great job, and from somebody that reads your stuff every day, thank you very much. And also thanks for taking the time to be on tonight on the show. So maybe we can do this again down the road when we got a little better time to plan on. Thanks for the short notice. But real quick, just to share with the audience where they can follow you on Twitter, all the different places they can find you and your work, obviously fieldgoals.com.
Yep, on Twitter at Kenneth Arthur S. And then I post on SB Nation sometimes as well. So mostly just Field Goals and Twitter.
Awesome. And I have all your links to your site and also your Twitter on my webpage, 12for12s.com, so you can check that out. And really, thanks again. I really appreciate it. You did a real good job on your piece. It was definitely for us nerds of football. It was awesome to read kind of where you see us going the next year.
Hey, man, nerds are in, so we're doing well.
Hey, one championship down, let's go get another, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, thanks again, Kenneth. You have a wonderful night, and we will talk soon, okay?
Thanks. You too.
All right. All right. We are now 20 minutes left. We have William Cornell coming up in about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do, folks, is we're going to move right into some of our next topics here. That's my whole rant on Mr. Manziel. All righty. I'm going to take a quick break, come back. I think we got Will on the line here. And I'm going to come back with Will from Ring City Redemption, talk about his new site, and we'll take it from there. So we'll be right back.
It's going down, 'cause we're the winners. It's time to move. It's time to dance, because the Hawks are so much better. We are the ones. You won't forget.
winner from Eastlake Community Church. Obviously, you can see all their works and videos on 12for12s.com, on their YouTube page at Eastlake CC. You can find that there, as well as, like I said, 12for12s.com on my video page. I am now joined here on 12for12s with William Cornell, the creator of the Rain City Redemption series that I'm madly in love with, and I think most of Seattle is as well. Will, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How you doing, man?
Great. I know that you recently just put up this brand new website with a lot of different cool little things on there. But before we get there, we haven't talked before after the Super Bowl. Just kind of give me your reflections on this last season, winning the Super Bowl, what it felt like, and so on.
I know we're a few weeks past, but it still hasn't really hit me yet. It seems almost too good to put into words. I can still remember the night that it happened, man. We were running out in the streets. I mean, the city was on fire. It was pretty insane. It's but it was just something that we've all been waiting for. I think for decades now. So it still hasn't really hit me, to be honest with you. But awesome to say the least.
Yeah, putting the show together tonight was extremely difficult because I felt like I was turning the page on last year. Or we won the Super Bowl, like you said, 2 weeks ago. Well, why don't you tell us? Tell us about the site that you put up. What's going on there, and we'll go from there.
Well, I wanted to put up the site for a few reasons. I think the video series has gotten enough attention where I think it deserves its own website. It's more kind of dedication to the fans. I think. Down the road, what's going to happen is I'm going to have a user login where people can actually become part of it and participate in comment section and put up their own stuff, and we'll see where that goes. But the second most important reason was I wanted to have a place that I could host my own videos. You kind of know all the trouble that I've gone through with YouTube, and I'm kind of worried that Vimeo is eventually going to, have the same result. So, that's kind of why I have the security to have my own website. Should that happen, I can host my own videos. So.
Well, we all know your videos are awesome, but, while we are talking about your videos, I know that we had a chance briefly to talk about the last segment series you put together, and I know you're already preparing the next one to come out this summer. But why don't you touch briefly on the process of putting this last video together, and then what's going into, obviously, putting the next one that you're going to put out this summer?
Yeah, the last one was kind of business as usual. I mean, it was the greatest part was the story was already there, and it was I really had to capture the emotion of kind of almost getting there, and because I think that's what everybody kind of felt like. I think a lot of people that followed that game kind of had the feeling that we should have won, even though we didn't. We almost had a taste of success, but it wasn't quite there. But I think everyone was optimistic, and that's why I chose a lot of shots where fans are in the parking lot and they're greeting the players as they came back, even after a loss, because I think that kind of was really symbolic of the city, kind of getting behind the team, and it was kind of the start of beginning of a dynasty, essentially. I mean, we'll see what happens. But, for this next one, I really want to make it, it's going to be difficult, to be honest with you. That's why I'm kind of giving myself a good amount of time here, because I want to make this one special. I mean, it kind of goes without saying. So, we'll see. But, I'm pretty optimistic about it. I'm going to be working with a few other people on this one. I'll be doing all the editing, but I'm getting help from a few people, from around the country, and it'll be it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get going on it.
Well, I can't wait either. Trust me. When I am a huge fan of your work, my friend. So you knock it out of the park every time. And what you just said, you definitely nailed the emotion of that last game, and the getting that little bit of off of Real Rob Report and his video of them coming back in saying, what would it have been like if we had won? And
right.
It nails it, because it just goes to show, like you said, the community and how close the fans and the 12s and the team are. Now I know you've been doing the T-shirt thing, and I saw a lot of your works, and I posted them as they came out on my website. just are people going to have the opportunity through your website to purchase some of those? Is that still available?
Yeah, we're kind of in the process of figuring out, because this is kind of it's kind of declined a little bit just because, you know, the Super Bowl's over now and the season's over, and I think a lot of people are kind of getting over that. I know I'm getting over that. I remember the first Sunday after the Super Bowl, it was kind of like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do with this Sunday? You know, what are we doing? But you know, but we're kind of now that we've had the kind of time to step back away from it, we were kind of going to reevaluate how many we should get, and you know, this, that, and the third. There's a couple of retailers around Seattle that are interested in putting our stuff in, so we're kind of taking a break for right now, and then eventually we're gonna eventually re-up and get a whole bunch more stuff. So
awesome. Well,
yeah.
You guys do some real cool design work. My favorite was the knocking out of Vernon Davis one.
Yep.
Welcome to Seattle. That was the Welcome to Seattle one.
Yep. People take a liking to that one.
So I know you just came on real quick to talk about the website. Why don't you just share with everybody again where they can find it, the exact address, and then obviously where they can follow all your work, William, and what you're doing.
Well, it feels awesome to say that we finally have our own website. All you got to do now is just go to RainCityRedemption.com. But if you can't find that, just type in Rain City Redemption as always on Google search. And I'm actually, you know, I'm gonna stepping up on my Twitter again. I'm much easier to find now. You just go to I'm just at Rain City Series, and I'm kind of starting to try my new Twitter handle. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of hard making the transition, but that one should be RCR. It's all capitals RCR, but it's RCR Redemption. So that one's kind of hard to say, but I think the easiest one right now is just go at Rain City Series.
Awesome. And just one last thing. Remember I talked to you real quick over our text messages, but if you can shoot me a logo, I'll make sure I put up a nice link on the top of my page to your website, okay?
No, absolutely. I will do that. Hey, thanks for having me back on.
Hey, Will, thank you. Look forward to talking to you soon. Go get them. Good luck on putting the fifth installment together of the Rain City series, okay?
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right, take care, William.
Yep.
All right, we have 5 minutes left, a glorious 5 minutes. Real thankful for William to joining us tonight. And, again, everybody, check out the fourth installment he put together, Rain City Redemption. Obviously, you can go to his website, Rain City Series. I'm sorry, let me make sure I get that correct. It's RainCityRedemption.com. Also, there will be links on my website to his site, and then you can also see the videos on my site. I have those on, as long as Vimeo and YouTube keep them up. All right, the 11th topic of the night here I wanted to get to was